Chapter 3, The Chase. The escape from Xylos was a desperate gamble, a headlong plunge into the unknown. Their stolen Xylosian freighter, the Seraphina's Kiss, a name ironically bestowed by its previous owner, a notorious smuggler, lurched violently as it jumped into hyperspace. The nebula ahead, designated as the Crimson Maw, was notorious among spacers, a swirling tempest of gas and dust, riddled with unpredictable gravitational currents and stellar radiation bursts. It was the perfect hiding place, and their only hope. Riley gripped the controls, his knuckles white. Seraphina, perched beside him, monitored the ship's sensors, her face pale but resolute. The Crimson Maw was a terrifying spectacle, a kaleidoscope of crimson, emerald, and sapphire, punctuated by streaks of incandescent white. Gargantuan pillars of gas, sculpted by unimaginable forces, towered over them like cosmic monoliths. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming, breathtaking in its destructive beauty. "Readings are erratic," Seraphina reported, her voice tight with tension. "Gravity wells are shifting. We're going to have to rely heavily on instinct." The nebula was far more than a beautiful sight. It was a deadly maze, a cosmic labyrinth that tested the limits of both their skills and their courage. Navigation was a constant battle against the capricious forces of nature. They were tossed around like toys in a cosmic maelstrom, the Seraphina's Kiss bucking and shuddering under the strain. Every moment was a struggle for control, a dance between survival and oblivion. The ship's shields flared intermittently as they endured blasts of intense radiation. Riley fought to maintain course, his hands working instinctively, guided by years of experience navigating treacherous space lanes. He'd flown through asteroid fields, dodged pirate ships, and even weathered solar flares, but nothing prepared him for the raw, chaotic power of the Crimson Maw. Their pursuers were relentless. Xylosian cruisers, their hulls gleaming menacingly, materialized from the nebula's swirling depths, their energy cannons spitting deadly bolts of plasma. The Seraphina's Kiss, smaller and less heavily armed, was hopelessly outmatched. Their only advantage was the nebula's chaotic nature itself, its ability to mask their movements and confuse their enemies. "They're gaining," Seraphina warned, her eyes glued to the sensor readings. "We need to find a way to shake them." Riley, his jaw clenched, executed a series of daring maneuvers, weaving the freighter through a dense cluster of gas giants, their surfaces swirling with violent storms. He pushed the ship to its absolute limits, relying on his experience and an almost supernatural intuition. The freighter groaned and protested under the strain, but it held together. The Xylosian cruisers, less agile and less accustomed to such treacherous terrain, struggled to keep up. Their attacks became less precise, their formations breaking down under the pressure of the nebula's unpredictable currents. Riley exploited their vulnerability, using the nebula's chaotic environment to his advantage, leading them on a dizzying chase through the cosmic maelstrom. The constant gravitational shifts played havoc with the ship's systems. They experienced moments of weightlessness, followed by bouts of crushing gravity. The crew, even Riley and Seraphina, were thrown against the bulkheads, their bodies bruised and aching. The physical demands were immense, a constant battle against the forces of the nebula and the relentless pursuit of their enemies. But the mental strain was even greater. The oppressive darkness, the overwhelming sense of isolation, and the constant threat of death took their toll. Riley found himself battling not only the Xylosian cruisers but also the creeping tendrils of despair and exhaustion. He had to stay focused, had to keep his wits about him, for the fate of countless worlds rested on his shoulders. Seraphina, despite her own physical and mental weariness, remained unwavering. Her knowledge of the nebula, gained from years of smuggling through its treacherous paths, proved invaluable. She was Riley's compass, his guide, his unwavering partner in this deadly game of cat and mouse. Days blurred into nights. The lines between reality and hallucination began to blur. The vibrant colors of the nebula seemed to warp and shift, taking on monstrous shapes that preyed upon their minds. The constant barrage of attacks, the relentless pursuit, and the sheer physical strain began to wear them down. Yet, they pressed on. Driven by a shared sense of purpose, a commitment to preventing a galactic catastrophe, they pushed themselves beyond their limits. They navigated through fields of cosmic dust so dense that they could barely see beyond the ship's nose. They evaded monstrous gravity waves that threatened to rip the Seraphina's kiss apart. They narrowly avoided collisions with rogue asteroids and blazing comets, each near miss a testament to their skill and courage. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a break in the nebula's density appeared. A sliver of clear space, a path to freedom. But the Xylosian cruisers, their numbers thinned but still menacing, were hot on their heels. The final confrontation loomed, a desperate struggle for survival that would determine not only their fate, but the fate of the galaxy. The Crimson Maw had tested them to their limits, both physically and mentally, but they emerged, battered but unbroken, ready to face their pursuers one last time, ready to fight for the future of their world, a future they were determined to save, no matter the cost. The fight for survival continued, a desperate last stand against the relentless Xylosian pursuit, in the eerie silence of the emerging clear space, with the Crimson Maw receding behind them like a forgotten nightmare. The chase was far from over. The clear space offered a deceptive respite. The Xylosian cruisers, though fewer in number, were still formidable. Their sleek, black hulls, scarred by the nebula's harsh environment, gleamed menacingly under the distant starlight. Riley knew a direct confrontation would be suicidal. The Seraphina's kiss, though repaired as much as possible during their harrowing journey through the Crimson Maw, was no match for their firepower. He needed a plan, a strategic maneuver that would exploit their pursuers' weaknesses and turn the tide in their favor. His eyes scanned the star chart, his mind racing. He needed a system, a celestial body that could offer him an advantage, a place where the Xylosian superior technology would be less effective. His gaze fell on the designation for a small, uncharted planet on the edge of known space, Nyx. It was a rogue planet, ejected from its solar system eons ago, a cold, dark world with an unusually strong magnetic field. Seraphina, Riley said, his voice calm despite the adrenaline surging through his veins. Set a course for Nyx. It's a long shot, but it's our best chance. Seraphina, her face etched with fatigue but her eyes bright with determination, nodded. It's a graveyard of derelict ships, she warned. The magnetic field is erratic, and there's no way to predict the gravitational pulls. It could tear us apart. We'll take the risk, Riley responded, his gaze fixed on the distant planet. The gamble was immense, but it was a calculated one. Nyx's chaotic magnetic field was a double-edged sword, dangerous for them, but even more so for the heavily armed Xylosian cruisers. Their sophisticated targeting systems relied on precise calculations, and Nyx's unpredictable gravity would render their weapons inaccurate at best, useless at worst. The journey to Nyx was tense. The Xylosian cruisers doggedly pursued them, their plasma cannons firing intermittently, their shots wildly inaccurate thanks to Nyx's gravitational distortions. Riley used every trick he knew to evade them, exploiting the erratic magnetic fields to mask their movements and throw off their targeting systems. He bounced the Seraphina's kiss off gravitational distortions, using the planet's unpredictable pull to create a chaotic dance, a dizzying ballet of evasion that left the cruisers struggling to keep up. Approaching Nyx was like entering a twilight zone. The planet was cloaked in an unnatural gloom, its surface barely visible through a swirling veil of cosmic dust and charged particles. The air crackled with static electricity, and the ship's instruments went haywire, spitting out erratic readings. The magnetic field was a tempestuous ocean, its currents tossing the Seraphina's kiss about like a leaf in a storm. Riley executed a series of precise maneuvers, guiding the freighter through the treacherous magnetic currents. He navigated the planet's chaotic gravitational field using a combination of instinct and his understanding of astrophysics, his knowledge honed through years of high-stakes missions. His hands moved with precision, his eyes alert, scanning the sensor readings. The Xylosian cruisers, their advanced technology overwhelmed by Nyx's unpredictable environment, struggled to follow. Their shots, wild and inaccurate, scattered harmlessly into space. Riley's daring maneuvers, a blend of calculated risk and improvisational genius, played havoc with their pursuit, forcing them to slow down, their formations breaking down. Once within Nix's orbit, Riley initiated his next maneuver, a dangerous plan that involved using the planet's debris field to his advantage. The area surrounding Nix was littered with the remnants of countless derelict spacecraft, the graveyard Serafina had warned them about. These derelict ships, scattered randomly, were unpredictable hazards, but they also offered potential cover. Riley guided the Serafina's kiss through the dense debris field, using the wrecked ships as shields against Xylotian fire. The maneuver was incredibly risky, a precarious dance among metal shards and stray energy fields, but it paid off. The cruisers, unable to fire accurately for fear of damaging their own ships, were forced to slow down even further. The Xylotians, initially baffled by Riley's daring tactics, scrambled to adapt. They deployed drones, smaller, more agile craft designed to navigate chaotic environments. These drones were more nimble than the cruisers and better equipped to maneuver through the debris field. But Riley was ready. He had anticipated this. He'd discovered a weakness in their drones, a vulnerability in their AI-based targeting systems. Using a combination of high-frequency electromagnetic pulses and carefully placed gravitational distortions, he disrupted the drones' targeting systems, sending them careening uncontrollably into the surrounding debris. One by one, the drones were crippled, crashing into the derelict ships, creating a chaotic maelstrom of exploding metal and sparking energy. The Xylotian cruisers, their drones eliminated and their advance stalled by the debris field, were now effectively neutralized. They were trapped, unable to pursue, their superior technology rendered useless by the unpredictable environment of Nix. Riley had used Nix's harsh environment, and his own cunning, to turn the tables on his pursuers. The chase, though far from over, had reached a critical turning point. He had bought them time, valuable time they could now utilize to plan their next move and secure the future of their worlds. The Serafina's kiss emerged from the debris field, battered but victorious, leaving behind a trail of wrecked Xylotian drones and frustrated, stranded cruisers. The victory was short-lived, for the true danger still loomed. Nix itself presented its own unique and deadly challenges, yet the successful evasion felt like a pivotal victory in their epic struggle. The escape was not just a flight for survival, but a testament to the strategic mind of Riley and the indomitable spirit of his crew. The relative calm after escaping the cruiser's immediate pursuit was deceptive. The silence of space, broken only by the hum of the Serafina's Kiss's engines, was a stark contrast to the cacophony of plasma fire that had just subsided. But the respite was short-lived. Nix, while offering a temporary haven, presented its own treacherous challenges. The planet's gravitational anomalies continued to buffet the ship, throwing them against invisible currents that threatened to rip the hull apart. Suddenly, a warning klaxon blared. A jagged line appeared on the navigation screen, representing a massive, unstable asteroid hurtling directly toward them. Riley slammed the controls, executing a series of sharp turns that narrowly avoided a catastrophic collision. The asteroid, a relic from some long-forgotten celestial cataclysm, missed them by a hair's breadth, leaving them trembling in the wake of its gravity. The close call was a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of Nix. Their journey continued through a maze of derelict spacecraft, the remnants of previous ill-fated expeditions to this inhospitable world. Each wreck was a potential hazard, its unstable structure and volatile energy signatures threatening to trigger a chain reaction. Navigation became a delicate dance, requiring precise maneuvering and an acute awareness of the surrounding debris field. Riley's expertise, honed through countless dangerous missions, was put to the ultimate test. As they navigated the cluttered graveyard, a Xylotian boarding party emerged from the shadows. Their ship, a small, heavily armed assault vessel, had somehow managed to breach Nix's chaotic gravitational field and was now closing in. Riley knew that a direct confrontation in this confined space would be suicide. The debris field was too dense for effective maneuvering. Any attempt to outmaneuver the Xylosian vessel would risk a collision. Serafina, her face grim, reported that their shields were at critical levels, and their weapons systems were partially disabled by the erratic magnetic fields. They were trapped, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. This was a fight they couldn't win. Instead, Riley initiated a daring plan, using the derelict ships as a shield and a trap. He guided the Serafina's Kiss behind a colossal, half-submerged freighter, its hull riddled with gaping holes and sparking conduits. The Xylosian assault vessel followed, confident in its superiority. But Riley had anticipated this move. As the assault ship neared, he unleashed a concentrated burst of electromagnetic pulse from the Serafina's Kiss's hidden weaponry, disabling the ship's targeting system. The assault vessel, momentarily blinded and confused, struggled to regain control. Seizing the opportunity, Riley engaged the ship's emergency thrusters and rammed the damaged Xylosian vessel, sending it hurtling into the nearby debris field. The resulting explosion was spectacular, a fiery maelstrom of colliding metal and sparking energy. The Serafina's Kiss emerged from the wreckage, battered but alive. Their escape, however, was far from secure. Riley knew the Xylosians wouldn't give up easily. They had underestimated the unpredictable nature of Nyx, but they were resourceful and relentless. He suspected a much larger force was not far behind, waiting for their chance to strike. As they moved through the dense debris field, Riley detected an anomaly, a faint energy signature emanating from a derelict Xylosian space station hidden amongst the wreckage. The station, a silent sentinel amidst the cosmic graveyard, was heavily guarded, yet it held a potential lifeline, a means of gaining an advantage in the escalating war. Approaching the station was a high-stakes gamble. Its shield generators were still partially active, making a direct assault impossible. But Riley spotted a weakness, a ventilation shaft that led directly into the station's interior. It was a risky approach, a single stray bolt of energy could be fatal. Serafina, ever the pragmatist, voiced her concerns, highlighting the danger of the mission. But Riley remained steadfast, pointing out that their situation provided no better alternatives. This could be their last chance to make a decisive strike. The ventilation shaft was a risky entrance, but it was their best option. Under the cover of darkness and amid the cosmic debris, Riley piloted the Serafina's Kiss towards the ventilation shaft, navigating the narrow passage with pinpoint accuracy. They squeezed through the dilapidated structure, the hull scraping against the rough edges of the shaft. The ship's sensors went haywire as they entered the station's interior, battling interference from the station's antiquated systems. Inside the derelict station, they were met with a scene of chaos and disrepair. Derelict equipment littered the corridors, and the faint hum of decaying machinery filled the air. Despite the state of the facility, Xylosian patrols were still active, remnants of a force that once controlled the station. Stealth was paramount, any alarm would be their doom. A tense cat-and-mouse chase ensued through the station's decaying corridors. They moved silently, using the shadows and the debris to mask their movements. Their escape route was a labyrinth of abandoned labs and storage facilities, each turn potentially leading to a deadly encounter. They encountered Xylosian security patrols, heavily armed and alert, yet Riley's skills in espionage and guerrilla warfare allowed them to outwit and evade them. He used a combination of distraction tactics and precise movements, exploiting the station's decaying infrastructure to his advantage. Finally, they reached their objective, the station's central server room, which contained vital Xylosian tactical data. This data, if acquired successfully, could potentially turn the tide of the entire war. But gaining access to the server room was the final challenge. It was heavily fortified, its access points guarded by advanced security systems. The final confrontation was a thrilling clash of wits and skill. Riley disabled the security systems using a combination of advanced hacking techniques and cunning manipulation of the station's decaying infrastructure. It was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, a test of skill against powerful technology, where even the smallest mistake could result in their immediate capture or death. The odds were stacked against them, but Riley's ingenuity prevailed. With the Xyloshan data in hand, they escaped the station, leaving behind a trail of disabled security systems and bewildered guards. Their escape was a testament to their resilience, determination, and skill. The close calls they had faced on Nick solidified their resolve, a crucial victory in a war that was far from over. The chase was far from over, yet they'd secured a crucial piece of intel, enough to significantly alter the course of the war, a small victory in a war for survival. The journey home, however, remained a dangerous path shrouded in uncertainty. Their escape from the derelict Xyloshan station wasn't a clean getaway. The Seraphina's Kiss, battered and bruised, limped through the asteroid field, its shields flickering like dying embers. The station's security systems, though momentarily disabled, were slowly rebooting, their automated defenses beginning to reactivate. They could feel the Xyloshan response, a tightening net of pursuit, closing in from all directions. Riley, ever the strategist, had anticipated this. The data downloaded from the station's central server revealed a chilling truth: the Xyloshans weren't merely pursuing them, they were deploying a new generation of weaponry, weapons that leveraged the chaotic gravitational fields of Nyx itself. These weren't simply energy weapons or missiles, they were gravitational disruptors, capable of warping spacetime around their targets, crushing ships with unimaginable force. Seraphina, Riley said, his voice tight with urgency, prepare for a gravitational distortion maneuver. We need to use the gravitational anomalies of Nyx to our advantage. We'll be weaving through the unstable currents, using them as cover. Seraphina, ever the pragmatist, frowned. The gravitational fields are unpredictable, Riley. One wrong move, and we're ripped apart. We're already pushing the Seraphina's Kiss to its limits. We have no choice, Riley replied, his eyes fixed on the navigation screen. This isn't just about escaping the Xyloshans, it's about survival. We need to use their technology against them, turn their weapon against them. The maneuver was a terrifying ballet of precision and luck. Riley expertly navigated the Seraphina's Kiss through a series of gravitational troughs and peaks, utilizing the unpredictable currents to evade pursuing Xyloshan cruisers. The ship lurched and swayed, groaning under the immense stress. The gravitational forces were so intense that they pinned them to their seats, momentarily crushing their bodies before releasing them in a violent spasm. It was a dangerous game of hide-and-seek, a technological dance on the edge of oblivion. Each gravitational distortion was a gamble, a risk that could send them hurtling into an asteroid or crush their ship like a tin can. Yet, Riley's skill and Seraphina's calm competence guided them through the treacherous currents, evading the Xyloshans' gravitational disruptors. The Xyloshans, however, weren't simply relying on brute force. Their pursuit incorporated a sophisticated network of sensor drones, tiny robotic probes that spread across the asteroid field, utilizing advanced sensors and signal jamming technology to locate and track the Seraphina's Kiss. These drones weren't just observers, they were equipped with miniature EMP bursts, capable of disabling the ship's navigation systems. Riley, Seraphina warned, we're under a swarm of sensor drones. Their EMP bursts are overloading our systems. Riley countered swiftly, deploying a countermeasure system he'd developed, a sophisticated AI-driven counter-drone system. This system, a marvel of technological ingenuity, used a combination of jamming signals and targeted EMP bursts to neutralize the Xyloshan drones. The battle became a technological war, a silent conflict of algorithms and energy blasts, fought in the chaotic heart of Nyx. As they continued to evade the Xyloshan forces, Riley activated the Seraphina's Kiss's cloaking device. This wasn't an invisibility shield, it was a much more sophisticated technology. It masked the ship's gravitational signature, bending spacetime around the vessel and making it virtually undetectable to standard sensors. This technology, however, was energy-intensive and could only be used for short bursts. Their escape route led them through a nebula, a swirling cloud of gas and dust that provided a temporary sanctuary. The nebula's dense composition disrupted sensor readings, further aiding their escape. But the Zylocians, determined to capture them, were using a new technology, a long-range gravitational scanner. This device could penetrate the nebula's obscuring effects, picking up faint gravitational disturbances caused by the ship's movements. Riley knew they couldn't remain cloaked indefinitely. They needed to reach a safe haven, a place where the Zylocians couldn't easily reach them. Their only option was a daring plan, to utilize a series of abandoned wormholes located deep within the nebula. These wormholes were unstable, unpredictable rips in spacetime, posing a considerable risk. But they offered the potential for a quick escape, teleporting them far beyond the reach of their pursuers. Navigating the wormholes was a test of nerves and precision. Each wormhole was a gamble, a potential pathway to another part of the galaxy, or a shortcut to oblivion. Riley had to calculate the precise entry and exit points with pinpoint accuracy, factoring in the ever-shifting gravitational fields and the unstable nature of the wormholes. The journey through the wormholes was disorienting, a surreal experience of distorted time and space. The ship was subjected to intense gravitational forces, causing it to vibrate and shudder. The sensors went haywire, their readings meaningless in this realm of distorted physics. It was a journey into the unknown, a gamble with the very fabric of reality. Finally, they emerged from the last wormhole. They were in a remote region of space, far beyond the reach of the Zylocian forces. The sensors indicated no signs of pursuit. They had escaped. But the victory was bittersweet. The escape had been costly, both physically and emotionally. The Seraphina's kiss was severely damaged, its systems barely functional. And the data they had acquired, while crucial, only hinted at the larger scale of the Zylocian war machine. The chase was over, but the war was far from won. The respite was temporary. The Zylocians, with their mastery of technological warfare, would undoubtedly launch a more aggressive counteroffensive. Riley knew that their struggle for survival was far from over. The galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, and the war had only just begun. The true technological battle lay ahead, a battle for control of the very fabric of spacetime. And Riley, with his blend of espionage, military prowess and technological innovation, was ready to fight. Their temporary sanctuary in the remote sector proved short-lived. The silence, initially a symbol of their escape, began to feel oppressive, heavy with unspoken anxieties. The Seraphina's kiss, battered and bruised, was a testament to their harrowing journey. While the Zylocian pursuit had ceased, a new threat had emerged, one far more insidious and closer to home. Seraphina, her usually composed demeanor fractured, stared at the decrypted data on the main console. The information, painstakingly extracted from the Zylocian station, revealed a disturbing truth, a mole within their own ranks. Someone had leaked their plans, their movements, their every strategic maneuver to the Zylocians. The precision of the Zylocian attacks, their uncanny ability to anticipate their every move, pointed to an inside job. "It's not possible," Riley muttered, his eyes scanning the intricate web of communications logs, his gaze hardened with a mixture of disbelief and bitter rage. "We vetted everyone. Every single person on this operation was handpicked." "Vetting doesn't account for blind loyalty, Riley," Seraphina replied, her voice laced with a weariness that hinted at her own internal turmoil. "Sometimes, people are more motivated than they let on." The implications of this betrayal were staggering. It meant that their escape had been a carefully orchestrated trap, a calculated risk to draw them out into the open, leaving them vulnerable. It meant that someone they trusted, someone they relied on, had condemned them to a perilous journey, pushing them to the brink of oblivion. Suspicion immediately fell on Jax, their enigmatic communications specialist. He had been unusually quiet during the escape, almost withdrawn, a stark contrast to his usual boisterous nature. His technical expertise made him ideally positioned to leak information without raising suspicion. He had access to all communication channels, the encrypted channels included. But there was a deeper reason for this suspicion. Jax's past remained shrouded in mystery. Riley had always sensed a certain detachment in Jax, a veiled ambition that hinted at something hidden, something sinister. Riley activated the ship's internal surveillance systems, reviewing recordings from the past few weeks. He focused on Jax's movements, scrutinizing every detail, every subtle gesture. The surveillance footage revealed nothing overtly suspicious, but the subtle nuances of his behavior, the almost imperceptible hesitation before responding to queries, fueled the growing suspicion. Riley replayed the conversations, listening intently for coded messages, hidden clues, anything that would expose Jax's treachery. The evidence, while circumstantial, was unsettlingly compelling. Jax was found to have made numerous, highly encrypted contact attempts with an unknown recipient, attempts which were cleverly disguised as routine maintenance requests. While the content of these communications was encrypted, the sheer number and frequency were enough to arouse grave suspicions. They looked nothing like a simple maintenance request. The revelation shattered their fragile sense of security. The chase had been not just an escape from the Zylocians, but a chase of trust, a relentless pursuit to unveil the traitor in their midst. "I think we need to confront Jax," Riley said, his voice grim, as he stared at Serafina. "We have to find out if our suspicions are correct." The confrontation took place in the cramped engineering bay, the air thick with tension. Jax, oblivious to their suspicions, was tinkering with a damaged console, his back to them. The silence hung heavy, punctuated only by the hum of the ship's failing systems. Riley confronted Jax directly, presenting the evidence, the encrypted communications, the subtle behavioral inconsistencies, the timing of the Zylocian attacks. Jax remained impassive, his expression giving nothing away. He denied everything, his denials laced with an unsettling calmness. He countered by suggesting that maybe the leaks weren't intentional, a possibility of an advanced Zylocian data harvesting technique. He suggested a system vulnerability they missed and they need to look into it. The truth, however, was far more complex and far more devastating than mere negligence. During a heated exchange, a sudden power surge overloaded the ship's systems, plunging the engineering bay into darkness. In the ensuing chaos, Jax seized his opportunity. He overpowered Riley, injecting him with a potent neurotoxin, a slow-acting poison designed to paralyze and disorient. Serafina, witnessing this brutal betrayal, fought back fiercely, unleashing her combat skills, trained for years in the shadowy world of espionage. Her battle against Jax was brutal, a desperate struggle for survival, fought in the dimly lit confines of the engineering bay. The ship, groaning under the strain of its failing systems, served as assailant witness to their desperate fight. Serafina managed to subdue Jax, but not before he revealed the full extent of his betrayal. He worked for a shadowy organization, a group that sought to destabilize the galactic order for their own nefarious ends. The Zylocians were merely pawns in a much larger game, a sophisticated puppet show orchestrated by this clandestine group. Jax had leaked the Serafina's kiss information not out of loyalty to the Zylocians, but to this clandestine group, aiming to benefit from the chaos that would ensue. He had played both sides against each other, manipulating events to achieve his goals. The revelation left Serafina reeling. The intricate plot, the relentless chase, all of it had been a calculated maneuver, a complex game orchestrated by someone they had trusted. The weight of the betrayal was immense, threatening to crush her. The situation was far from over. Riley, incapacitated by the neurotoxin, was slowly succumbing to its effects. Serafina had to find a way to neutralize the poison and counteract the organization's machinations. The information Jax provided, however fragmented, gave her a glimmer of hope. This clandestine organization, with its shadowy motives, became their next target. The chase wasn't over, it had merely shifted its focus, becoming a quest for justice and vengeance against the ultimate betrayer. The galaxy, once again, awaited their next move.